Welcome home.
We are in Arlington, AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play.
I recommend anybody move to this guy.
This guy, he's out for a different purpose. He's working for a higher power.
I'm definitely on this.
Very informative, very straightforward, fast with the numbers. Can't wait to work with them. You should too.
He's going to introduce you to Busy Money, a millionaire real estate investor, 2020 SBA Award recipient, former math teacher, go figure. Founder of Fear Workshop, he'll explain that. Founder of Busy Money Workshop, he's a philanthropist, an author, host of real estate investing podcast, and a financial educator. Y'all help me welcome by putting your hands together for Hussain Abdullah!
That was good, I'm not gonna lie. You got that, right?
Yes, sir.
Good editing, host. So while they're getting set up, I just want to first give a shout out and say thank you to Ms. Tanika and for having me here. Tanika and I met at a seminar a couple months ago, and I'm going to give a shout out to my brother Mike, Mr. Tarrant. I want to echo the sentiment that he said before, where he pulled out that $20 bill and said, don't miss out on this opportunity. I won't speak badly about the last presentation where Tanika and I met, but I will say this. It was just basically like me and Tanika in a room, and there was nothing but empty chairs. It was nothing but empty chairs. But what happened was, we had that opportunity to speak and look at where we are now. And if I do my job, if I do what I'm setting out to do today, you'll see that that conversation is gonna lead to what I really believe, some life-changing information. So we'll see. When they're ready, then I'll start my presentation. And if not, 14-year math teacher, this is how we do it. So here goes what we're gonna do. I only had 6 slides, and I knew I was going before lunch, so I was gonna gauge the crowd. So here goes what we're gonna do. If y'all need a break, if y'all are ready to go, I'm gonna know by your energy. I stop talking 15 minutes into my presentation, y'all go get lunch. It is what it is. I don't want to lecture. I'd rather have a conversation. So I have Nova with me. She has a second mic. What I'm hoping to do is within 5 to 10 minutes, get your buy-in, prove to you that I'm somebody you can ask these questions to, and maximize your time while you're here. You don't need to hear me talk, I promise. I don't want to hear myself talk for 40 minutes. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
All right, cool. Why are you here? Okay, see, there was more than one answer, right? So I'm not gonna assume anything. I'm gonna ask you 3 or 4 questions because we've never met. I'm gonna gauge the room, and then I'm gonna tailor my presentation to what you guys want. Imagine having a classroom teacher like that. Imagine having a classroom teacher that taught math that way. Right. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Realtors, raise your hands. How many of y'all have LLCs? All right, good. How many of you own investment properties? Okay, so some hands dropped, so we're gonna talk about that. How many of you are set for retirement today? If you didn't sell a home again, you could live off your investments. All right, good, 5, 6. Good, so we gotta get everybody in the room on the same page. I don't even need a presentation, we good. So here goes how we're gonna start. My brother Michael mentioned before debt. Who here thinks debt is a good thing? By round of applause. Okay? So in contrast, I'm gonna think that the rest of the room disagrees with that. So I'll tell you a story. I bought my first rental property when I was 22 using credit cards. How do you do that? I'll give you the game. And I'm gonna give you some tips. And then I'm gonna stop talking. And then we're gonna take questions. This is what we're gonna do. This is why I'm here. So, how did I get a property with credit cards at age 22? This is before Credit Karma, this is before the internet, right? I'm looking at some of y'all, it's like Black Planet time. Yeah, okay, I see what we're talking about here, right? Right, I know. It was a time, it was before MySpace. So here goes what I did. I had good credit. I knew I wasn't gonna purchase a home. I knew I wasn't gonna purchase a car. I applied for 6 credit cards, all at once. So it didn't hit the bureau at once. I ruined my credit, but I knew I had a game plan. And I got 6 0-interest introductory cards for 1 year. I took all that cash and I bought a property cash. Now, what didn't I do? Remember, I was 22. What I didn't do was take my rent money and start spending it. I understood that I had minimum payments on those credit cards that I had to pay back. So it wasn't my money just yet. But I understood the value of the equity I was getting because the tenant was paying my rent. I understood that I was gonna have an increase in value because the property value was gonna increase. I didn't understand that I was gonna get the tax benefits. I was only 22, I didn't really know about taxes, but I know that now. So I knew my money was gonna be growing in 3 or 4 ways, right? So what I did was I took my rent profit, I paid minimum payments. These are all 0-interest introductory cards, and I paid off the smallest one first. Now normally people tell you to pay off the largest one first, right? But they're all 0 interest. So what I did was I removed the bill. And then I had a free card. That becomes very important. Then I took the rest of the money and I moved it to the second smallest card. You have to concentrate your efforts. Now I had 2. So when 8, 9, 10 comes around, I'll give you some quick math. I'll do it. I don't want to get into the math. I'll get you the math. I'll give you some round numbers, okay? Simple math. Let's say I have 6 $10,000 credit cards. Actually, let's make it better. I have 1 $20,000 one, 2 5s, and the rest are 10s, okay? And for conversation, each one has a 1% minimum payment, okay? So that means 50-50, one has 200, 10, 10, 10. I pay off my 50, I pay off my 50. Now I got 10K, okay? I'm paying everything else down. When it comes time to turn it over, I use my 2 5s, pay off the 10. Now I got a free 10. I take the 10, I roll it over again, I roll the 10 over, I roll it, and then that's how 18 months, I end up not paying any interest, my profits increase, I did it again, got a second property, rinse and repeat. So I know, I said that fast? I know. This is gonna be on YouTube, I mean, we got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna ask you at the end. It's at the end, don't worry about it. I'm not selling nothing yet. I said, give me 10 minutes and y'all will buy it, now you're on stage. I think I got 50%. There's some people in the back, but I'm talking to them. So, let's go to the clicker, right? If it works. I only have 6 slides, don't worry about it. I can do something like that.
I'll click.
My man, thank you. Okay, so for those of y'all who didn't clap, see, we're gonna introduce lazy money versus busy money. Lazy money is your money in a bank account right now. Who has their money in a savings account? It's okay, like, thank you. This is a safe space. If y'all knew these answers, I wouldn't be here. And not that I know it all, but you should gain something from today. So when it's question time, ask the questions. And that's why I'm gonna cut my presentation short. Because I'd rather answer your questions than tell you something you may or may not already know. You know what I'm saying? So, if your money is sitting in a savings account right now, you don't have to answer this out loud, but my assumption is that you're making 0 interest. Now, on average, inflation is 3% a year. The last 2 years, it was 6 and 7. So that means if you had 10,000, these are 100 realtors in here. Y'all have $100,000 sitting in a bank account, and you lost 7% of that. You just lost $7,000. You became $7,000 less wealthy by letting your money sit in that account because you're looking for the rainy day. I'm gonna give y'all a couple of strategies. So that's lazy money. The object for you is to get your money moving as much as possible, 24 hours a day. The best way to do that is with investments. I don't like to lose money. Like I'm not cheap, but like I don't like to lose money. I'll spend money, but if my money is not doing something for me, I feel like I'm cheating myself. I feel like I'm cheating my kids and my grandkids. All right? So, we have busy money. That's us learning how to put our money to work. And I'm gonna say some things that may be contradictory to what you may have read or what you may have heard. This is what I really do. I'm not telling you anything I don't do. And I'll show you how sometimes even getting a rental property, for example, where you're losing, is actually gonna make you more money if you decide to just wait a little bit, if you decide to delay gratification. That sound good? All right, cool. We gotta go to the next slide, and we'll skip that because we already answered this. Boom. Now, none of this is gonna work without having a proper mindset. Mindset is the only thing that is gonna make you successful or not successful. So, we got an acronym. Make important and necessary decisions and you succeed every time. Important and necessary are probably the two most important letters. Again, I like to spend money on nonsense sometimes. We all do, we all have our vices, okay? And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, as long as you do it at the right point in time. Everybody in this room is gonna get a gift. You're gonna get the copy of my first book, Fear. That's on the house. Hopefully you clap after you read. We'll see. I'm asking. All right. It's true. It's whatever. Okay. So now when I was 22 and I started making money, this is in the book, but I'll paraphrase just to kind of build up the point. You gotta remember, I'm 22, 23, I get like my first $50,000 check is mine. So what do? You know what I'm saying? Like I spent that check like, well, it happened. You know what I'm saying? But I learned lessons along that experience. So now when I talk to 22, 23, 30, 35-year-olds, I don't judge them. Especially if you, like I'm from Brooklyn, I don't know if I can talk about it. But like, where I grew up, nobody had that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? Especially not legally, not the right way. So, I'm just saying what it is. I was there, some of y'all know. So what happens is, there's a thing with New Yorkers where it's like you have to look a certain way. Even if you're on the train, you have to have a certain type of outfit, because of whatever, being self-conscious, I think is really what it is. So I had to learn those lessons, and sometimes what happens, especially if you have children or grandkids, don't look at them crazy necessarily if they want a certain thing, because they may not have that experience yet. It took me to get my first nice car to realize I didn't need a nice car, that was a headache. It took my first time to do certain things because I spent all this money on this, and I'm not getting what I wanted or what I thought was going to happen when I had that experience. I live a very, very modest lifestyle, and for me, this is dressed up. I'm a sweatpants guy. All right? So, important and necessary. Now we'll move on. So we talked about debt. My man Michael. It was like he didn't plan that. He came up here and said debt is like the worst thing in the world, and I'm gonna come up here and tell you how debt is the best thing in the world. Before we start, I'm gonna do something. I'm a math teacher, remember. We're gonna prove something. Michael can be correct, and I can be correct at the same time. I think that's a lesson we could use in politics and as a community. I'm gonna give you a very simple elementary school math question, okay? There's no wrong answers, and if you don't finish your sentence, we'll add on another number to make your sentence correct, okay? We're gonna make the number 10. You'll see what I'm saying in a second. I'm calling it, what's your name? Yeah. Danielle, how do you make 10? Give me a way to make 10. This is not a trick question. How do you make 10? 5 plus 5. How do you make 10?
9 plus 1.
Get your answers ready. Green shirt, how do you make 10?
2 times 5.
Benny. Yes. 8 plus 2. Let's get creative. Give me some subtraction.
15 minus 5.
Beautiful. Do we all have different ways to make 10? Do we all have different answers? Are we all correct? So that's not a knock at my brother. That's his way he made his money. That's the way I make my money. But since some of you are not convinced, let me do like a PR move. All right, so the next slide. We're gonna call it OPM.
Other people's money.
That's right. All day, other day. So erase debt from your vocabulary. We're gonna get OPM. So when you get a mortgage, that's not debt. That's other people's money. That's the bank's money. When you crowdfund, if you're not sure about crowdfunding, that's something we could talk about. You can ask questions if you want to learn more about crowdfunding. My business expanded on the premise of crowdfunding. Now remember, I told you where I came from. I do have 3 degrees, whatever, that means nothing. But I didn't go to school for finance or for business. So it just made sense to me that if we put 10 people in a room and we each contributed $10,000 each, that we could buy a $100,000 property, which gave us 30% ROI. If I gave each of the investors 10%, I made 20% of their money. I just made 20 grand and I didn't even kick in a penny. You like that concept? It's one of the things I teach. All I am is a teacher. That's it. I retired at 37, walked away from that salary, benefits, and all that because of how I invested in real estate. I didn't know that that's basically called a hedge fund. So if you don't know what a hedge fund is, they hedge funds, whatever, but all they do is they take lump sums of money from a group of people and they promise a yield. They take that money and invest in a bigger project that they wouldn't have been able to get into using other people's money. And the fund makes money either off the top or by charging people fees to get in. And that's all I did, and that's all I do. And in 33 months, we did $35 million. You go on my Instagram, you can check the receipts. I'm not a realtor. I'm an investor. And that was, that was only in Central Texas. That's not New York, that's not Philadelphia, that's not Jersey, that's not the other states that we're in. That's 35 million in Central Texas. And I work with realtors just like yourselves, and I teach you guys how to invest. And that's why Tanika and I hit it off. She was like, our realtors need to hear this. Right? When y'all take your test, did they teach y'all how to invest? There wasn't that chapter in that book, right? No, they don't teach you how to get that money, right? Okay, so are we sold on OPM? I told y'all. Dallas? Okay, the iceberg. This relates to mindset. Everybody in here seems like mature adults. Now, I didn't know what the future range was going to be, but this is important. The concept of the iceberg is, 90% you don't see, 10% you do see. And what I find is that, let's say you make $250,000 a year. There are some people who make $250,000 in 1 year, and they spend $250,000 in a year. Those people are broke. Okay? Poor. Poor is not here. Poor is here. Poor is here. Rich is here. Rich is here. I can make $80,000 and live like a king, and I know some people that make $500,000 being from New York, and they're broke. They check. I'm like, how could you be check with 500 G's? That's insane to me, right? Sometimes people have the mindset where they want to show. And I need to get this bag, and I want to go on this vacation, and my kids this, and they can't really afford it. Again, I've told you now that I have done those things. I've gotten big checks, and I've wasted big checks. And I didn't make the best moves because I wanted to show. Okay? Now there's a time for show. But you gotta get that 90% right. Okay? So I have formulas and different tricks and different things. I just wanted to get you guys in the right zone now, and everybody seems like I haven't seen somebody blink in minutes. I can blink, there's only 2 more slides. I promise, nothing more slides. Alright? So we good. So look, I told you. So this is what we're gonna do. If you want to connect on social media, I'm gonna give y'all 1 minute to scan either on Facebook or scan Instagram. We're real active on Instagram. On Monday, you'll see I'm buying 17 units. We paid cash for them. And I sold them to my clients. 6 new landlords. Sold them the properties 30% under market because they're my clients, because I made enough money. That's also my mindset. Everybody eats. So in a situation where I can make $15,000 off of 17 properties, I decided to only make 5 because it was enough for me in 1 day. So that my clients could save 10 grand, so that their ROIs on their rental properties could be 25 to 40%. Because I have some people with me that saved the tax return and saved the tax return, and then the market edged up and they couldn't invest. And this was an opportunity for them to become landlords and learn the game and invest their money. Okay? You'll see the numbers. If you go on Instagram, you'll see. So I'm giving everybody an opportunity to go, and then we'll follow y'all back. And again, like my brother Michael said, if y'all follow me and y'all don't ask me a question and y'all don't reach out, y'all wasting y'all time. Reach out, connect. I'll follow back. I don't have to like, let's talk. I'm here to make business, and I'm here to teach, and I'm here to work with y'all, and I'm here to change lives. I promise you. And I do have a sign up fee and all that. We can talk about that later. I promise you, the money that you would sign up with me, I get you that back in your first deal or in your first tax return with all the money y'all left on the table. Even if you have LLCs, even if you have tax strategies, I have access to all types of wholesale deals. I'll show you creative marketing strategies, which we call house hacks, how you get a whole house with no money out of pocket. I do that all the time, well, that's documented, and you don't hear it from me, you hear it from the people that bought the houses. Okay? Did everybody get the opportunity to follow and like and da-da-da if you're gonna? It's too far? Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. Everybody get your phone out. We're gonna do Facebook and Instagram. We do both. HAHOMES US. HAHOMES US. Hit the like button, hit the follow button, whatever. We'll take a minute. I still got plenty of time, right? Pete, how much time I got? I got mad time, right? This is all for y'all. Q&A. So I got Nova in the back. Actually, we met for me doing the podcast. She watched the podcast. No, you were 21, 22 at the time? 21, 20 at the time. I showed her how to get some free money. What was it, a year later you had your first investment property? Now she, works by herself. Still in her 20s. So that LLC game, invested, flipped, she moved her money around. Now she's out in Dallas, out from New York. In her 20s. I know a lot of y'all in here in y'all late 20s. Better than 20-year-olds. So, Nova's gonna woke up in the middle, on the side, wherever you need to be. Think, take 30 seconds. Do what you gotta do on social media. Ask the questions. The floor is yours. Right there. Anybody that has a question, she got a mic, so you don't have to yell. Right there.
Can we have them come to one centralized location?
Sure, she can move. No, wherever y'all want to do. Or if y'all want to line up, I just don't get money.
Let's line up right here, please.
All right, Nova's right here with the mic.
Make sure you speak in the mic for us, please.
You asked one of your questions was, how many of us had LLCs? Can you speak to why LLCs are important?
That's an awesome question. You're checking me, man. So,
I sit right here. You sit right here, ask a question. Come on, y'all give it up for one more